Hey everybody, Joe from Boulet's Garage. So today I have a 2013 Honda Pilot that I'm going to be replacing the timing belt, water pump, auto tensioner, coolant, spark plugs, and serpentine belt. I've used this kit before. I have not had issues with it. Any leakage with the water pump. I haven't had any problems with the belt tensioner or anything like that. So you know, you can go OEM, which is always, I give the customer that choice, but it's quite a bit more money. But you get everything you need right in here with this kit. It's a pretty involved job. If you're not an experienced mechanic, I would not recommend you do this job. This is for informational purposes, to tell you what it takes to get this job done and what you might be paying for. So hold on, I'm going to start disassembling. So one of the first things I do is I grab my vertical enhancement tool because I'm vertically challenged, this milk crate to stand on, to get better access of the timing belt area. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove this cover, and I'm going to drain the antifreeze because we are replacing the water pump today. So we're going to need to remove this computer assembly here. It's under this cover. The washer tank, the coolant reservoir tank's going to come out of the way, and that's the first step, aside from draining the coolant. So now that I have the coolant draining down here, and it seems to be wanting to not go into the drain pan, so a little bit of it's wandering. So what I wanted to mention is that if you have the luxury of having a lift, you can take all four wheels off the vehicle and lower it so you can gain better access to everything on top. Now this procedure for this 2013 Pilot is the same for basically Honda Odysseys, the Accords with the V6 engines. I just thought I'd throw that out there and let you know. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is pull the serpentine belt off. You can see where the serpentine belt tensioner is right up there. I'm going to go after that and get this belt off of there. Alright, now that I get the serpentine belt off, I'm going to get the harmonic balancer on top dead center for cylinder number 1. So I'm going to lower the vehicle so I can better show you the marks from the top. Alright, in this particular job I am replacing the spark plugs at the same time. This makes it easier for you to turn the engine over by hand to locate your marks and verify the timing marks. So that's what I'm going to do now. When I remove the spark plugs, I'm going to put the coil pack back in position without the spark plug, only because I don't want to have a bad day and have something fall into the cylinder while I am working on it unknowingly. So if you're going to do this, I suggest you do that too. So I just got about all the spark plugs out of this. I want to make something clear to you now. Depending on which year you have, make sure, I recommend you pull out one spark plug first before you actually order them to make sure you get the right ones. I'm just saying that because they sent me the incorrect spark plugs for this, and this particular vehicle does take a 5/8 socket to fit these spark plugs. So there are some other ones that are smaller. Just be aware that you don't get the wrong spark plugs for this application. Okay, so I've removed the computer that sits down in here, and you're going to have one bolt here on the bottom, one on the side. It's located over here, and then you're going to have another one right here in the back, and you're going to have this little clip under here where the wiring harness goes in. You're going to have to get it from this side. It's the trickiest thing to get out, but other than that, it's pretty easy. disconnect all your connectors and get it out of there. Alright, next you're going to remove your motor mount. This little harness holder here. Take this off. 10 millimeter socket fits that bolt. Then you're going to want to loosen the side mount with a 17 millimeter socket, and then after that to follow, you're going to want these two 14 millimeter bolts to come out of here. Also, there's a ground wire that is attached to there. I just put the bolt back in there for temporary. And now we're going to remove that mount. Okay, now I'm going to get the power steering pump out of the way. There is a 12 millimeter socket that will fit the bolt under here, and then there's one right in the back here as well that it's going to fit. And pull those two out, and I'm going to get the power steering pump up and out of the way a little bit. Okay, I got my power steering pump out of the way, and you want to pay close attention to what your power steering fluid reservoir is doing, because if it tips upside down it's going to leak. Kind of set it up here like that so it doesn't tip over and you lose all your power steering fluid and make a huge mess. So I'm going to take this mount out of the way. I started doing that before and I forgot that you should probably remove the power steering pump first. It makes more sense that way. And after that, I'm going to go after the tensioners here. Remove those, this idler pulley and the tensioner below. Get those out of the way so we can get the covers out. And even before that, I'm going to get this thing lined up the top dead center, and hopefully I'll be able to get this camera in there where you'll be able to see it. Anyway, hold on. So I have this portion of the motor mount out. It's actually two pieces. So now I'm going to take 17 millimeter socket and I'm going to go after this mount here. You have to take this mount out of the way to get this block out of the way. That's on the side of the engine. Okay, we're making progress here. I have the bottom mount out. We're ready to go after this side aluminum block. Actually, we got to get the side covers off first, and the pulleys down here that are in front of the covers. Okay, to remove the serpentine belt tensioner, there's the bolt right here. I've loosened it. Takes a 14 millimeter socket, and then right here you're going to see you're going to use a 12 millimeter socket to remove that and pull that assembly out of the way so we can get at those timing belt covers up here to expose the timing belt. Okay, so I got the timing mark lined up, and you can see it right down here where my little light is. This focus is not working right for me. But you want to go with the mark that's right in the rear towards the firewall. There's a mark here. There's a mark on the front too, but you don't want to go by that one. That's for ignition timing, which I don't really know why it's there, because the timing's all set and corrected by the computer. So anyway, always rotate the engine clockwise, never counterclockwise. See if I can get a better shot down here. Not exactly. Alright, so the timing mark is all set down here at top dead center, and this, there's a marker right here for you. Right here, there's a little window. See this little rubber plug down here? Well, right here, I don't know if you can see this or not. If you gotta get a mirror like this, you can see there's a line in there with a number 1. So you want that line lined up, and the top dead center line down in the bottom, the white mark lined up with the arrow on the side cover. So now I'm going to remove the harmonic balancer down in the bottom, and then I am going to remove that already loosened serpentine belt tensioner. Okay, before I remove this harmonic balancer bolt. I'm gonna talk some special tools here, and I got this set up for just for explanation here. But you see this tool right in here, it fits inside the harmonic balancer. It's a KD tool 3970. You have to use it along with 2 breaker bars. Now normally I'd have this breaker bar here set up against the subframe, and then I would take this other breaker bar and break free the bolt. They really do get in there tight. If you don't have one of these tools and you go about this job, you might be able to get it out with an impact, but 4 out of 5 of them I do come out hard. So this tool is available, again, the KD 3970, made by KD Tools. And later on I found this little kit right here. It's a Matco Cbs 980 kit. Basically it's a crank bolt socket set. It has a counterweight design. This works really slick. You put this on your impact and it breaks those bolts free. So I love this kit. If you can get one if you do this, you're a mechanic on a regular basis. But you know, it'll even work on lug nuts you can't get off really well. This set goes up to 21 millimeter. So 21, 19, and 17. It's a nice set. I really like it. It's one of those things that you get fairly cheap, and it saves you a lot of time. Okay, now I have the harmonic balancer out of the way and the serpentine belt tensioners out of the way. So you can see down here a little bit better. This is the mark you want to go for right here. You don't want to go for the one in the front, so don't be confused about that, because you won't have anything line up top. So the white line on the harmonic balancer is lined up with this, and of course the cam sprocket closest to the radiator should be on number 1 lined up. Now we're going to start removing the side covers. Okay, so I have the top covers removed here and started removing the bottom cover, and I remembered that you got to remove the top covers first because they overlap the bottom cover. Okay, as you can see, we have the lower cover off. Pull this little shim out of the way. So make sure your marks are all lined up. You can see here there's an arrow on this cog that lines up with the corresponding mark on the block. You want to make sure you're dead on, because you don't want these marks to move on you. I mean, it makes it much easier not to have that happen when you go to install a new belt. So I'm going to pull this side mount cover. Well, it's actually with the mounts too. I'm going to pull that off now, and then we're going to remove the belt in the water pump assembly. The motor mount I was just talking about. And you go to pull this bottom bolt out and you panic because there's no room to pull the bolt out. Leave that bolt in there, get it as loose as you can, and then you're going to want to loosen this one, and this whole mount's going to come right up out of the way where I pulled it out down there. Alright, this is the hydraulic tensioner right here. I'm going to take this out of the way, and when I do that, it's going to loosen this belt, and I'm going to take the belt off. And then I'm going to go after the water pump, which is right here. We're going to remove that. Alright, this is the hydraulic tensioner I removed, and you're going to always want to replace this with these vehicles. I don't know if you can see the oily residue that's starting to leak past this. This holds a lot of pressure against the arm that's against the pulley that presses against the belt, and if this fails, it's just like your timing belt going. And with an interference engine, you don't want to try and save a little bit of money by not replacing this. So this is what it looks like without the hydraulic tensioner and belt. And I did take this oil pressure sender out of this housing so I could access the bolt to the bottom of the hydraulic tensioner. So now I'm going to remove this tensioner This is the tensioner assembly that puts pressure against the belt. I'm going to remove that, remove this idler pulley, and then I'm going to remove the water pump. So just so you know, when you remove the water pump, if you don't have a catch can or a bucket underneath it, it's going to make a complete mess. It's going to go everywhere. Trust me, I know. So I removed the front idler pulley and the rear tensioner pulley assembly, and now I'm going to go remove the water pump, which is right here. Okay folks, here's what it looks like with the water pump removed, and it did make a mess. I got most of it, but well, it is what it is. I have to clean that up. But here's the old water pump, and now I'm going to reassemble and reverse of the procedure I've shown you here. Alright, when I install this timing belt, I start from the back firewall side, and you want to leave no slack in this. You go under the water pump, back up over to this front pulley, and they get some pretty good guides here that keep the belt in place. But I like to use these little butterfly clips that you get at any office supply store. You want to really pay close attention when you're putting this belt on that no pulleys move. If they do, you got to straighten them out. End of story. That's what you got to do. So what I do is I get this belt on here, tensioner all set, and then I'll rotate the engine by hand one complete revolution to make sure all the lines stay in place. Because if they don't, you got to do it all over again. You don't want to put it all together and have that happen and find out that your check engine light's on because it's missing.